I'm Daniel. I am a German living in the UK with a vast interest in point-and-click adventures. I have lived in academia for almost half of my life. I have supervised and marked down about 100 bachelor's theses and maybe 20 master's theses. So I feel uniquely qualified, well, maybe not uniquely, but qualified enough to walk through this diploma thesis and translate it and give commentary. Right. So this is a diploma, which diploma thesis. So diploma was one of the two levels in the German education system before we switched to bachelor and master. And diploma and magister would be the two levels that correspond to bachelor and master, but the diploma was a little higher than today's bachelor is, simply based on the fact that you can do something with a diploma, whereas with a bachelor you're usually required to do something more follow-up before you can do anything and get into a job. It was present. All right, I need to get to through the controls of this weird program. Right. So it was supplied at the Hochschule für angewandte Wissenschaft in Hamburg, so Hamburg University of Applied Sciences. There is a difference between a university and a Hochschule in Germany, which was used to be called Fachhochschule, that also went through transitions. And does the soundtrack not load here? Did the soundtrack just end here? Okay, cool. And there we go. Okay. That's still barely audible. It should be fine. Anyway. So the regular university would be the one where you go if you want to get into academia, and the Hochschule is the one where you go just to get a job. It's easier to get into a regular Hochschule than to get into a university. Studiengang Medientechnik would be the thing you study when you want to study IT, but the university doesn't offer it. Oops. 1 second. Right. So he published this thesis in Hamburg on the 27th of July 2006. The game was published in 2008, which means he was working on it, and it was basically ready around 2006 and was ready to be published 2008. I talked about Diplomarbeit. Right. Title: Das Computerspiel als nicht-lineare Erzählform. The video game as non-linear narrative. Development and... Oh, God. Wow. I need coffee first. Not application. I'm gonna have to look up a word this early. Umsetzung, yeah. Realization, of course. Development and realization of a dramaturgical concept by Jan Müller-Michaelis. Vogelig means just supplied by. Okay, and the supervisor was Professor Günther Rehfeld, and the second corrector was Professor Norbert Witt. Alright. Gosh. Right. And we have a declaration. I hereby declare that oh god. There we go. That I wrote this diploma myself and used no other sources of hints other than the ones hints and sources other than the ones supplied. I refuse to have the thesis supplied in available in the library. This is often a financial step because back then the printing was not as cheap as it is today, and it could set you back quite an amount, and you have to basically decide, do you want to supply 3 volumes, so 2 for the correctors and 1 for the library, or just 2 for the 2 correctors. that you then get back. Okay. Now we've got our usual directory, but what I'm interested is at the very back. That's always the first thing I check. Is the literature references. Okay, that's just the appendix. There we go. Alright, so all of the theses that I have supervised were university and not Hochschule. So I'm guessing, since this is closer to an actual project that was started and finished, that this is normal, but at a for a university thesis you would have a lot more sources and a lot more offline sources, where most of this is, well, we've got these books, we've got a lot of internet sources, and we've got video games. And that's it. And that is not how it would work in at the regular university. You need to gosh, you want to build on top of what has been established in the academic literature, so that whatever you assert can be proven, can be backed up by what has been established, so that knowledge always grows and no nonsense happens. Now, it was not meant to add to the, well, it was meant to add to the pile, but not in the same way as regular university articles, journal articles are meant to do, and therefore that is not the same standard that I can apply with from regular universities. Okay, let's go through the sources. Arseth E. Cybertext, Perspectives on Ergodic Literature. Okay. Aristotelis Poetic, interesting. Right, it was published in 2001, this volume, I'm assuming. It would have been funny if there was like a number BC here. Campbell J. The Heros in 1000 Gestalten, The Hero in 1000 Figures. Field S. Das Handbuch zum Drehbuch. Notes about how to write a playbook. Freud S. Totem and Taboo. Then Sigmund Freud. Okay, interesting. Totem and Taboo. Glussner A. Oh, I'm excited to see to see where he's going to quote Aristoteles and where he's going to quote Freud. Glussner A. Interactive storytelling techniques for the 21st century. Now, this might actually be a really good source, but we don't have the time to do a full deep dive into the literature. Hagebölling Ha. Interactive dramaturgies. Abhu D. Doom 1. Knee Deep in the Dead. Okay, I'm guessing this is about the video game Doom. Israel J. Handlung und Interaktion. Plot and Interaction. Castle Jung CG, der Mensch und seine Symbole. Okay. So the human and his symbols. Naak R. Warcraft, The Day of the Dragon. Interesting. Mertens Psychoanalysis. Okay. Murray Hamlet on the Holodeck. Interesting. Shakespeare Macbeth. Interesting. Sheldon Lee. Oh yeah. Character development and storytelling for games. J.R.R. Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings. Witten Sacred, The Chronic of Ancaria. Right, and then we have Wikipedia sources for narration, origin of RPGs, the 8-Bit Museum, history of computer games, computer role-playing games, interesting, Don Woods and Adventure, MMORPG, Text adventure, interactive fiction, adventure. Ron Gilbert interview with Mix and Mojo. That's interesting. Another Ron Gilbert interview. Old Man Murray. Robert Ripley. Interesting. As in Believe It or Not. Ripley SF would be San Francisco. Let me check out that source real quick. Yeah, okay, interesting. So is he going to mention the Ripley's Believe It or Not game? Tim Schafer, Tortoise Adventures. Interesting. Death of Adventure at Ludology. Death of Adventure from L. Lowe. Interesting. Claude Levi-Strauss. Okay. Janet Murray from the Game to Story to Cyberdrama. Okay. Espen R. Seth responds. Don't know who that is. Die Deutsche Modelliste. Mod as in interactive fiction on bulletin boards? As Arseth versus Murray, I'm guessing there is some kind of public discussion that happened. Right. So these are the video games that are mentioned, and what that also means is these are the video games that there will be spoilers for throughout this entire thing. So Discworld 1, 2, and Discworld Noir, which I didn't even know existed. Doom, id Software Full Throttle in 80 Tagen um die Welt. Okay, so around the world in 80 days. Indiana Jones, Fate of Atlantis, Infernal Machine, and Last Crusade. King's Quest on the C64, interesting. Legion Street Larry, Longest Journey, Lost Files of Sherlock Holmes, Runaway, Sherlock Holmes, Secret of the Silver Earring, Mystery of the Mummy, Simon the Sorcerer, The Sims, Space Quest, Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Super Mario Bros. Siberia, The Three Musketeers, Tomb Raider, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, and Zack McCracken. And that's it. The rest is actual appendix. All right. Well, then let's dig into the meat of the things. Oh, we've got some acronyms. AGS is Adventure Game Studio, ARPA, Advanced Research Project Agency, CAS Character Animation Set, CD Compact Disc, nice, CRPG, Computer Role Playing Game, EGA, Enhanced Graphics Adapter, very nice, EP Erfahrungspunkte, so that would be sorry, I have to keep like this, that would be experience points, GTGE, Golden Tee Game Engine, okay, so it's a game engine. GUI graphical user interface, HSQL, hypersonic structured query language, IF interactive fiction, Invo inventar object, interesting. LARP live action role playing game. Ooh, typo. Missing an E in role playing. MMORPG, massively multiplayer online role playing game. Here it's not okay. Multiple user dungeon. That's what green stands for. No way. Welcome in Dark Fate. How you doing? Twitch is being twitching out. There we go. Okay. NSC is nicht Spielercharakter, so that would be NPC in English. ROD, Raumobjektdarstellung, so Room Object Presentation. ROI is Raumobjekt Interaktion, Room Object Interaction. RPG is role playing game. SC is Spielercharakter, so that would be PC, and VGA Video Graphics Array. Okay. We have an God, I hate this interface. Okay, we've got an introduction. Oh no, can I not? No, I can barely fit it on one screen. Okay. So I will try to first translate every paragraph and only then give commentary if there is anything I'd like to say. And otherwise, so that you can always read or hear it in chunks. So, introduction, plot in video games. What is the plot of the video game Super Mario Bros? A suggested answer of this to this question would be the plumber Mario saves the captured Princess Toadstool from the claws of the reptile King Bowser. This small dialogue... This is terrible. This small dialogue contains several interesting statements around the dramaturgy of video and computer games. 1. Video and computer games can follow a plot. 2. The contribution of the player for the plot is obviously substantial. Mario remains known to us as the plumber who saves the princess, independent on whether the player only reaches a game over. I see. So differentiating between the player character and the player himself. This simple point of view already answers a widely discussed question in the industry entertainment. Narration and interaction are not mutually exclusive. Sorry, that's a little loud. With interactive media such as computer games, you can have stories being told just as well as with classical media like book and film. Which means the player, just as much as the reader of a novel and the viewer of a movie, can join the hero on his quest. The only difference is it is dependent on the skill of the player, whether he gets to see the entire plot until the end. Through failure, the plot of the story does not change. No one would summarize the plot of Super Mario Bros. In the following: the plumber Mario is on his way to save the princess. In level 2, he falls into a pit and dies. I like that. That's a very good introduction. That's really clever. Okay, cool. Apologies. We will continue. A failure of the game... On a failure of the game, the path of the player and the hero in the game separate. On a positive ending of the game, the player himself becomes the hero. Scrolling mechanic is terrible. What? Oh! I will get... Okay, there was more. Okay. Right. That is how a principal point of the narration is unraveled in a computer game. In every story, it doesn't matter if it's in literature, the cinema, or in a video game, the recipient is joining a protagonist through the story. The problems that the protagonist has to solve within the story is lived through the recipient as their own problems. And the successful resolution of a conflict is something the player can add to his own repertoire of experience, as if he has lived through the situation himself. Let me just check if there's a better word than dramaturgics. Dramaturgy. Dramatization. Okay. The main one main focus of dramaturgy
Dramaturgy or dramaturgy?
Dramaturgy, okay. Dramaturgy is therefore to create a tight binding between the protagonist and the recipient. So he switches between the word recipient and player a little. Right. The recipient should identify themselves with the hero. Should suffer with him and be happy with him. This, therefore... Oh, this was in general, right? This, therefore, is even more the case if the viewer basically takes the place of the hero. Direct control of his body, takes direct control of his body and makes decisions that lead to the a good ending of the plot. Ooh. Now, all right. I'll continue reading. But this is already conditional. This measure of identification between the hero and the reader in an can only be achieved in an interactive medium such as the computer game. And therefore, it is the producer's right to add into their product descriptions. You are controlling April Ryan, you are taking control of Indiana Jones, or you are Kyle Katarn in The Longest Journey, Fate of Atlantis, and Star Wars Jedi Knight. Right. He's relativizing by saying such as the computer game. So I'm not too much on the fence on that paragraph. Right. Is it therefore possible that the computer game is a better narrative medium? In the following pages, I will try to elaborate on that. So, goal and extent. The goal of this diploma thesis is to research in how far the computer game is adequate as a medium for storytelling. To this end, the thesis is accompanied by the development of the graphic adventure Edna bricht aus, which is the practical part of this thesis designed by me with the help of a small circle of co-workers. Yeah. The diploma thesis is divided into a theoretical and a practical part, which is very common in Hochschul theses. Great. It doesn't work in this browser. I'll have to choose a different browser. Cool. Second. Yeah. All my plugins have crashed since the YouTube updates. There we go. Wow. That is really realistic. That really makes me nervous, that sound. Okay. In the first part, I conduct research on the history of interactive dramaturgy. I will highlight the origin of the narrative video game, in particular the graphic adventure. In order to properly interleave into the historical context, I begin with the theoretical fundamentals of non-interactive fiction. or non-interactive narrative. The second part of the thesis will be the dramaturgy and who's that song? I had it earlier. Implementation, yeah, of Edna bricht aus. We will follow back-to-back 4 work steps that lead to the completion of the game: dramaturgy, programming, scripting, and layout. Finally, in a discussion, very good. We've got the bot working. Good. Finally, I will lead into a discussion of my results on whether or how far the video game is. That is the second game. Yep. Why? Oh no, is that the first? Oh no, Nadel and Faden is the second game. Right. Anyway. Where was I? He will wager an evaluation on how far. What will den Mond anzünden? The computer game is adequate as a narrative medium. He has supplied a CD of the game. The appendix has the maps and a walkthrough of the game. Oh, I see. He has added a walkthrough of the game because he is afraid that that his supervisors might not be able to get it or not be able to finish the game, which is fair because there won't be a walkthrough online, but also a little bit of a slap in the face. All right. Okay, so Edna bricht aus, a part of the right. So it is built on the results of a university project in which a playable demo was constructed with the runtime engine AGS. The playable demo contains 6 rooms with 15 interactive objects. The completed game consists of about 122 rooms and over 2,000 room objects. That makes it a fully fledged adventure, which mirrors the incapacity games in the video game industry. Edna bricht aus was made with the public class library Golden T engine in Java. Additionally to the 29 classes, a primitive script language was developed that allows us to separate between the program and the content. With the exception of Java intern classes for the user interface, the entire content of the game, every object, every animation, and every wow, strange word. Every piece of content based on the 20 tables of a HSQL database. It is therefore possible to use the engine to create different games without manipulating the program code. The simple script language with its only 39 commands makes it possible even to laymen to tell stories with the EBA engine. Oh, EBA for Edna bricht aus. Okay. Right. Where am I? Ah, there. Cooperation. Other programmers who worked on this engine were Felix Engel, Stefan Hütter, Andreas Endler, and all students in the faculty, such as Olaf Kasper. The concept for the main programming code was also developed by me with Olaf Kasper and Felix Engel. Developing the dramaturgic concept was aided by Felix Engel, Anne Beutel, and Finn Seliger from Medientechnik, as well as René Anhaus, Erkan Yilmaz, and Daniela Pusch. All background graphics, objects, characters, animations, and user surfaces were designed by myself and prepared for the game. I had inspirations from the designs from Jan Bauer, and Beutel also drew the test graphics that were used in the demo projects. With scripting, regarding scripting, I was greatly aided by René Anhaus and Christina Lange. With the test scripting for the demo, Christoph Bertram was helping. Gosh, sorry for the bad grammar. It's difficult to because the word order is different in German than in English. It will sometimes sound backwards, because I still have to read what I need to translate. The background music, sound effects, and voiceovers are... Oh, is this a dual diploma thesis? Oh, we have a plot twist. Those are the topics of the diploma thesis of Finn Seliger, which will probably be written in the next winter semester. Not just supplied, but written. Okay. Some musical layouts are already integrated into the game for test purposes. And now we know why the game itself was only published in 2008. Hang on. This is interesting. So, Finn Seliger. Alright, let's take a look. See if we can find that. Google Scholar. Finn Seliger. Surely he will cite this thesis. So, Finn Seliger, Jan Müller Michaelis. No Müll in Deponia. 2023, no. Oh, hold up. I had his thesis, right? Gosh. Computerspiel. There. Cited by 3. Oh. Interesting. You would think that that is cited by Finn. Alright, I'll make a quick note here, because I want to know what is up with that. Where is Finn? What's his name? Seliger's thesis. Why is it not citing it through Google Scholar? Now, I'm not going to claim that Google Scholar is a complete source of everything that ever links to everything ever, but usually it's quite good. Interactive Fiction, Chapter 2, Definition. Lee Sheldon describes in his book Character Development and Storytelling for Games, Sheldon 2004, Oh gosh, okay. So in 2004 he quotes a game from in 2006 he quotes a book from 2004. You usually don't want to quote anything that is like brand new unless you know what you're doing, because it might be refuted quickly. But that's fine. Right, so Lee Sheldon describes the origin of narration of an interactive dialogic procedure. Wait, are we still talking about video games? In der Frühzeit. Oh no, we are not. Okay. Weird. Okay. Frühzeit as in before Middle Ages. No, what's it called? Early days of civilization. What's it called? Early days. Okay. Groups of people would come together in caves after successful hunts. There, the hunters were gathered around their prey and... Wait, is that Aachen? Alright, first of all, what is huts? Hounding. Yeah, okay, so of the hunt. Oh, okay. The tribespeople gathered around the hunters to know about the storyline of the hunt. There we go. So the hunters were the early storytellers, is the theory. The audience did not just sit and listen through chants and applause. It could influence the narrator and the course of the story in significant amounts. Well, that sure is a theory, isn't it? Is that like... I mean, sure. That wouldn't even be that difficult to test, but it's still... I mean... This is very prehistoric, right? So it can't have been written down anywhere. Okay. So the information exchange did not take place in a single direction. It was an interchange of actio and reactio. Okay. All right, buddy. Right. Oh. So when this thesis mentions narration, then it... Oh gosh. It is referring to the main line of literature that is also known under the term epic. That includes... Right, a narration can be a story both delivered orally and in writing. That includes fairy tales, legends, sagas, epos, the short story, and the novel. The narration is a form of communication. In communication theory, communication theory distinguishes between two forms of communication, I guess. Monologic. Where's the other one? I don't know. Okay. So, monologic from Greek mono, one, logos, word, is communication when information only flows in one direction. Hold. 1 second. Oh, jeez. More coffee. Okay. Right. So communication is monologic when the information flows only in one direction. So when the sender sends information or the receiver simply receives. This is the case when reading a book, whereas dialogical communication, there we go, goes in both directions. The sender gets a reaction from the receiver and can use this information to control the narrative further. Therefore, a narrative is interactive if it is of dialogic nature. That means the recipient is able, effectively, to take action and influence the narration, and therefore the plot. This affection can happen in the very moment in which the story is coming to life. This, of course, is only possible if the author and the recipient are in the same place or connected via telecommunications. However, it is also possible that the author prepares his story in a form that allows for a later affection. Probably the wrong word. A later manipulation through the recipient. In this case, the author loses control over the plot of his story. He can only try to design the entry points of the recipient in a way that the story Geschichte in jeder Kombination von Anmischungen durch ein erwartetes Resultat hervorbringt. That's a tautology. He can only try to design the entry points of the recipient in a way that every combination of interaction through the recipient leads to an expected result. Whatever expected result means. The recipient is restricted to the possibilities that the author gave for these interactions. Depending on how complex these interactions are, plots can arise that were never intended by the author. Now, I would like a source for that. All right. Branched narrations. The most obvious method through which recipients can allow an entry point for the users is to, I can only speak in computer science terms, is to give them two alternatives on how the story can unfold afterwards, depending on the decision that the recipient makes. This devolves into two different lines of plot. However, you can also offer a multitude of decision points throughout the narration. Such a story is called, I guess, branch narration? Not sure what the actual English term would be. Yeah, there we go. That's where we're going. The probably most well-known, best-known example of this style are the Choose Your Own Adventure series. At the end of each individual segment of the story, the reader has to decide how he should continue. There are multiple options depending on how they decide how to continue. A different page number is noted where they need to continue reading. The individual branches do not affect each other. Figure 2.1 shows such a tree structure. The decision points are called knots, or rather vertices. Since the different possible storylines on their own are still linear, the entire structure of such storylines are called metalinear system. It is possible that earlier branches of narration are merged together later. So it can happen that despite all the decisions that have been made, the individual branches of the story lead to the same ending. In the extreme case, every vertex in the story is connected to every other vertex. Alright, here we have figure 2.1. Partial bulging tree and total network. The branched narration does not... did not achieve a huge audience either in the computer industry and or in the print medium. Computer games are usually way too contrived to be able to be told through such linear processes. Okay. However, the tree structure of the branched narration is often due to the multiple choice lists of dialogue progression in video games, in adventure games. Hypertext. The concept of hypertext is, thanks through the internet, almost known to everyone. Good morning, Mike. The basis of the World War... What's this? This is the thesis of Jan Müller-Michaelis, which he supplied together with the publication of Edna and Harvey the Breakout. So that video game that spawned Daedalic Entertainment is based on this thesis that he wrote in combination with creating that video game. And I am currently embarking on a project, and for that I thought it would be good to actually read the thesis, so why not do it on stream? And so I'm reading it and translating it at the same time, hopefully, to some extent. How are you doing? What are you currently up to? Alright, 212 hypertext. The concept of hypertext is, thanks to the internet, almost known to everyone. HTML, the hypertext markup language, which is the basis of the World Wide Web, was designed to link text documents through hyperlinks with each other. In this way, you are not required to follow the text in a linear form, but can, depending on your own interests, jump between different topics. Okay, the same principle is the basis of all texts that link to other sources in one way or another. For example, through sources. An early example for this concept is found in the Indian epos, the Ramayana, from 1000 BC. Oh, alright, interesting. In which there is a constant switch between back and forth between stories, so the reader is forced to leave behind the usual linear reading pattern. Hypertext has also done a good favor to everyone who's doing research in science. It is, however, mainly unused or unusable for telling, for narration. 2.2, the multimedia hero and his path through the story. Video game heroes have become part of the fictional characters. No. Zu den fiktiven Charakteren. Okay, right. Have made their way into the part of fictional characters that are known as the cultural common knowledge. Almost everyone knows Super Mario, Lara Croft, or Pac-Man. There are even a wide exchange with other media. Canvas heroes, no. Big screen heroes find their ways into computer games, such as Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and Matrix. And video game heroes become get their own video game, get their own movies, Tomb Raider, Doom, Final Fantasy. Oh yeah, there are Final Fantasy movies. But also an exchange with literature is existing. For example, Arthur Conan Doyle's super criminalist Sherlock Holmes is the protagonist of several computer games. The Lost Files of Sherlock Holmes, Mystery of the Mummy, The Secret of the Silver Earring, but even Terry Pratchett's Discworld's novels, Discworld, Discworld 2, Discworld Noir. Okay. Alexandre Dumas' The Three Musketeers, or Jules Verne's in 80 Days Around the World. Oops. Were bases for computer games. This list goes on indefinitely. A specific place is taken by J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. Well, that's unfortunate that he mentions that. His influence on the story of the narrative video games is documentable through the first hour. The reverse is rare and rarely of proper literary value, but exists nonetheless. There are multi-tomed book adaptations of successful video games such as World of Warcraft, Sacred, and Doom. I'm saying that because of the very unfortunate intersection between J.R.R. Tolkien and Daedalic Entertainment, known as the one of the worst games of, when was it? 2022, which was Gollum. Oh, that did not end well. Oh well. In some cases... Oh. Right. In some cases, the literature, movie, and video games, as well as other media such as comic books. Wow, is that how you spell comic books? Okay. TV series, board games, and role-playing games describe a complete mythology. Is he leaning towards Dungeons and Dragons and das Schwarze Auge? Let's see. In that way, entire universes exist that can be acquired through the consumption of a single product. The fans talk about the Star Wars universe, the vampire universe, yeah, that makes sense, etc. Internet forums. In internet forums, they exchange their opinions about these mythologies, and in fan fictions, not quite sure what he's trying to say with that, but they can have their own creations of a short story, a novel, or even a complete movie. I don't know. I have not played Sacred or know anything about it. This phenomenon is very exemplary about the creation of interactive media. The consumption of narrations of all kinds. Oh no, the consumers of narrations of all kinds no longer wish to be simple listeners. They feel a connection with the story and the protagonist in a way that they become active themselves to participate in the fictional world and shape it. And in the computer game, they get a opportunity to do so. Yeah, Quest. Yeah, I was thinking that. Right? But what else would it be? Would it be D-Quest? We used to say D-Quest, yeah. Well, I guess it's simply not a German word. So, but what it looks jarring. All right. I suppose Der Quest is possible. But it may be like the thing that locally people disagree, like Nutella and butter. There are people who say der, die, and das Butter, which is crazy to me. But yeah, right. Der Level, das Level. Yeah, but I. I'm gonna be more towards das Level, but I can see both. German is stupid. Moving on, indeed. So, the quest. The authors of a computer game have the challenge that have a challenge that is much more complex than the challenge of a regular author. They need to tell the story, but can only but is very limited in how his protagonist can act. The author has to allow the player to meddle with his stuff. Right, this is the second time we've heard that. Let's go to a different soundtrack maybe. Sure, the podium soundtrack. There we go. Gosh, do we not have sound without narration? Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Right. The player themselves have very contradictory requirements. On the one hand, they want to have as much freedom as possible in their actions. When they give a command to their avatar, that avatar should act on that accordingly. On the other hand, the player wants the game to be solvable and attributes the author with a mistake if he lands in if they land in a dead end. The game has to be completable. The way such an ending has to look is known by the player intuitively. The adventure game Zack McCracken starts in the protagonist's flat. Other than a crazy dream and an intro cutscenes, there are no conflicts visible. The game is still not solved. Through a long tradition of storytelling, the player knows that the protagonist has to go on a journey in order to complete the plot, and they will be faced with their own limitations. Gosh, that's a long sentence. And has to emerge at the end of the story victoriously at the end of the story, despite all circumstances and the grand conflict. This journey is the quest, as described by Joseph Campbell. Jesus! Alright, if there's one more song with text, we'll switch to other soundtracks. Right, what was I? Right, the quest, defined by Joseph Campbell as the path of the hero that appears in all cultures and is told over and over since the dawn of time. This very quest is the core of the study of dramaturgy. That is a very distracting soundtrack. I'm gonna switch to something else. Okay. Hardly any media can reproduce this, the outlines of this journey's path as directly to its core components as the video game. Fighting the Gods 2.2.2. As mentioned, the journey of the hero is part of every culture and can be derived through several mythologies. The best for that would be the Greek mythology because it is the first. Oof, need a source on that. The first to selbst umfassend dokumentiert. Okay. To extensively document and analyze itself. In its dramas and poems, there are stories of Greeks, of courageous heroes who are constricted in the ranking games of the Olympian gods and taking to battle. They don't just tell the stories, they also set rules by which the author has to follow while writing. The most important piece of literature for dramaturgy is clearly Aristotle's Poetic. Even 350 before BC, he described elementary concepts such as the unit of time, place, and plot, the poetic justice, and the concept of the it's not plot twist, Wendepunkt. Inflection point? No. Reversal point, turning point. Turning point, I guess? Crossroads? Watershed? Something like that. All these terms are still in use today, especially in Hollywood. Especially Hollywood movies are closely related to Aristotle's descriptions. When they are broken, for example in Pulp Fiction. Oh no! Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, of course. Gut von der Einheit der Zeit. When this is broken, as shown in Pulp Fiction, with the breaking of the unit of time, this happens on purpose and is seen as provocative. Yeah. Drama and comedy. Aristoteles. There's another typo. Kategorien. Separates characters in the story into three categories. 1. Humans that are better than humans in real life. 2. Humans that are worse than humans in real life. And 3. Humans that are no better or worse than humans in real life. Wow. Type 1 is of the type tragedy. The fate... It is their fate to find a bad ending. Through that, the audience is worried about the hero and feels with him. Ilios Mitleid, Phobos Furcht. No, not sure where he's mentioning those. The hero finally reaches cleansing of the soul, the catharsis. The audience has cleared the challenges together with the heroes, and the hero died for the audience. Nowadays, the non-tragic variant of the Übermensch is very famous. James Bond, Sherlock Holmes, or Superman always survive their adventures without damages. So just right, I'll translate to the end and then nevertheless, they fall into this category. Even the audience also suffered through the tensions with them. Right. The omission of the death of the character, of the protagonist at the end, is replaced with the fact that the hero can join us again in a later incarnation to renew this catharsis interruptus. This hero type is also preferred seen in action computer games and in the CRPG. Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, or Indiana Jones are seemingly representatives. So, just to give a quick comment as the way I understood it, in the classical Greek classification, tragedy and comedy don't mean what they would mean today. They simply mean a comedy has a good ending and a tragedy has a bad ending. In other words, in a tragedy, the hero always dies. And that is elaborated here. Oh, there we go. There's the comedy. All right. The second type of human is part of the comedy. Even the comedic hero was envisioned to end in a bad ending in Aristotle's times. Well, that contradicts everything I know. The poetic justice is also, however, is also achieved if in the Hollywood comedy, the bad human is changed and converted through insight, or the loser turns into a winner through industrial action. The adventure game knows these heroes through people like Larry Laffer from Leisure Suit Larry, Roger Wilco in Space Quest, or Guybrush Threepwood, Secret of Monkey Island. Okay. Oh, right. Differentiate between the character dies at the end and there is a bad ending, I suppose, is the difference here. Alright, the third sort of human has no further relevance for the classic dramaturgy. Nowadays... Oh yeah, nowadays they are often presented in the soap opera. Oh, alright, yeah, fair. They are presented in the successful video game The Sims, a simulation of daily life. Some heroes and heroines of newer adventure games do not have qualities through which they can be described in the first two. Is there a second spelling of category that I'm not aware of? Category. No. There is no H in category. That's the second time he's spelling it like that. Alright. For example, April Ryan, Kate Walker, and Brian. Right. Kategorie. Is that so? Before we go into psychoanalysis, let me just at least consider. Now, for April Ryan, I can see that. Because April Ryan starts out just as a human standing in life. Kate Walker is a high decorated lawyer for an American law firm and is going to Switzerland to sign a contract. I'm not sure if that is really on the same level where she starts off. That's what I would say. I have not played Runaway. Alright, 2.4 psychoanalysis. It is not only the analysis of the figures themselves that are of relevance for dramaturgy, but of course also their inspirations in real life. As we will see in the next chapter, these are often the origin of all myths and stories is hidden in the human psyche. Since the antique, the subconscious was a topic of several poets, philosophers, and bildende Künste, and of the arts. Only in the late 19th century, a key was found to enter these areas. 1890, the Viennese doctors Joseph Breuer and Sigmund Freud founded the psychoanalysis when they were treating a patient who was until then plagued by unexplained neurotic not diseases, disorders. There we go. Brauer and Freud discovered that verdrängen. Repressed. Oh, there we go. Repressed memory of an event in the patient's past was the source for her hysteria. Even if the patient was incapable of actively remembering these actions, they seemed on the surface to have taken hold of the surface of her subconscious. Through methods such as dream analysis and spontaneous associations, Brauer and Freud were able to tap into the contents. Through confronting, or rather, confronting the patient with the repressed memories. Hello, Crow. You are a category. Hello. Can I please continue reading? Come here then. Through confronting the patient with these truths, a first step towards her healing was achieved. Freud ascribes psychic disorders through an imbalance of attention field that every human possesses. Every human is in a constant conflict, according to Freud, between the three instances of the, oh god, I remember this, the ego, the superego, and the it, I believe. So this is the superego. So the superego, which has all the moral regards of a character, the it, which has all the, oh god, it's like Jesus Christ. Urges of a character, and the ego, which is sitting between those. Crow, can you not? There we go. Together with other contemporaries, Carl Gustav Jung also dug into psychoanalysis, in particular with dream analysis or dream interpretation. Eine abweichende Einteilung. Jung performs a different classification of the human psyche. He differentiates the ego, which he equates to active thinking, with from the personal subconscious, in which all memories are saved, whether accessible or not, and finally the collective subconscious, which connects all humans with each other. Okay, Ganzfeldtheory or something like that. This collective subconscious is the source of myths and stories. A seemingly always accessible lexicotheque, listing of symbols, and every human is connected through it through psyche. In his last book, The Human and His Symbols, Jung collects these globally valid archetypes together in an almanac, with the help of which not only psychoses and dreams, but also myths and artworks, with the help of these, can be explained and encoded along through its symbolicism. Jesus Christ, as a cultural subconsciousness. 2.2.5 The Heroes in 1000 Gestalten, the hero in 1,000 shapes. The psychoanalysis, and in particular Jung's concept of a collective subconscious, creates a basic by which sociologists, ethnologists, and anthropologists later described theories on why narratives and myths in different separated cultures still develop surprising parallels. The French ethnologist Claude Lévi-Strauss identifies several short scripts in the legends of North and South America as prototypes of a story that are that are narrated in their variations independent of the continent. In 1949, the American Joseph Campbell goes even further. In his book, greatly influenced by Jung, The Heroes in Tausend Gestalten, so the hero in 1,000 shapes, he creates the monomyth, which he supposes to be the basis pattern of the hero's travels of all stories, myths, and religions in the world. The journey of the hero has 3 parts. Leaving, initiation, and return. The individual parts on this travel will now be described further. Wow. Okay. Leaving. I need to find a better word than leaving. Sorry. Departure. Yeah. Departure. The regular world. The hero is at the beginning of the story an unnoteworthy character in an unnoteworthy part of the noch heilen Welt. Okay. In a world that is intact. Conflict. An event, there's another typo, changes the balance of the regular world. The peace is in peril. Oh, Jesus Christ. Destiny. I guess. Destined path. Almost at the same time of that threat, the hero is presented as a candidate to get rid of this threat. Weigerung. Refusal. The hero refuses at first to follow the journey of the adventure. The mentor. Supernatural help. Wer sich der Berufung nicht verschlossen hat, begegnet auf seiner Fahrt zuerst einer schützenden Figur, oft einem kleinen Weib, einem Mann mit Amulett. Okay, right. If they are not completely opposed to their own destiny, they will meet on their journey first a protecting figure, often a small old woman or an old man, who will equip the hero with amulets against the powers of the dragon which they have to slay. Crossing the first boundary. With the help of this mentor, the hero can leave the realm of mortality and enter an alternate sphere. The crossing of this boundary is an inverted birthing process. The transition into the other world is like a gate. And is marked like the Argo, which the antique seafarer Jason has to sail through, by 2 boulders or sides of a gate. Ooh. The Sentinel. On the boundary to the other world stands the Sentinel, a demon who tests the hero. If he is not removed, the entrance does not open. The belly of the whale. On the other side of the boundary, the hero finds himself in the belly of the whale, which is a sphere of rebirth. Instead of emerging victorious at the end of the boundary, the hero is thwarted into the unknown and seems to have died. The path of the challenges. In this dream world, the hero has to solve several tasks. He has helpers and items on his side with which he was supplied before crossing the barrier. These attributes he has to use one by one to emerge victorious. At the end of his path, there is mein Gott, Belohnung, Jesus Christ. Reward. There is a reward, the elixir to saving the world. Campbell differentiates between 4 variants on how this elixir is represented and who yields it. Variant 1, the Holy Marriage. Through his challenges, the hero finds the princess, the godly Earth Mother, the... oh god. The most beautiful woman in the world, the answer to every urge. Campbell has even more colorful descriptions. In the positive case, she is the ideal of perfection, and the hero rescues her from her Dornröschenschlaf, Jesus Christ. From her Sleeping Beauty's sleep. There we go. She has negative aspects such as her unreachability. Alright. While waking her up does save her, it also makes her mortal. Variant 2. Reconnecting with the father. If the hero does not obtain the elixir to saving the world, if he doesn't get it from saving the princess, he obtains it in the confrontation with an angry godlike character represented by the father. The hero can only emerge victorious from the battle if he discards his infantilities and recognizes the unit between him and his father. Variant 3, Apothesis. The hero himself becomes a god, and as such, a healing power that is able to heal the world. And variant 4, the theft of the elixir. The powers that be in the other world reject the hero, reject giving the elixir to the hero. So he just takes it without consent. Chapter 3, Return. The magical escape. The hero escapes with the elixir, especially in variant 4. He will be followed by the sentinels of the other world. Battle at the boundary. It can happen that the hero is refused entry to his former world, in which case a further battle against an adversary is happening at the boundary. 1 second, let me finish this, then I'll read that. Resurrection. The hero returns to his own world. He is carrying the elixirs and saving the world. Finally, he is able to return the old order. I don't know what this thesis is about, but it already explains why every Daedalic entertaining I've played felt more than dated. It is interesting to see like how many archetypes of or let's just call them tropes, because that's what they are, right? These are classically described tropes, and they keep appearing, well, not just in video games, but in all of media, right? But like even through reading this, I can see, oh yeah, just like in this game. Oh yeah, just like in this game, right? And it's not necessarily all the same game, and I'm not sure if he intended to always use that as a pattern for his games, but it is just an observation that he has for the storylines that he's encountering. Right. I am going to take a break here. I will probably be back maybe around 5 o'clock. But this is interesting. I do want to continue reading this. Yeah, I'll probably upload this somewhere, somehow. Alright. Have a good one. See you later. Bye-bye.